they told me I was of the Seraphim, that I think like an angel. I was going to have, an earth life. I was going to have struggles, and I was going to remember who I am as an angel, because at some point it would be needed for me and for humankind, and that it's no big deal. Don't overthink it. It's no big deal. You're not a savior. You're one of many. There's many of us here.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ask Julie Ryan Show, where we blend spirituality and practicality to help you live a life of purpose and joy. Today, we have Rachel Corpus with us. Rachel believes she's an angel in human form, here to guide us on our path to connection with Source. We discuss many topics, including her near-death experience, Starseeds, and she even demonstrates channeling with angels real time. So join us for this fascinating conversation on the Ask Julie Ryan Show. And please remember to subscribe, comment, and share with your family and friends. Rachel, girl, I'm so glad you're joining us today. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. I have been counting the sleeps, as I used to say to my little ones, who aren't little anymore. But did you used to say that to your kids ever when they were so excited to go on a trip or something?
I never heard of that.
Oh my gosh, I've been so excited to sit with you. I've been counting the sleeps till it's time.
Oh, God love you. Well, I appreciate that. I got questions for you, girl. Pages of them. Let's just get right into it. You say you're an angel in a human body. What's that mean, and how do you know?
I suppose I just know, because when I jumped into this body, I suppose I thought everyone was this way. And as I grew older, I realized, and by older I mean in elementary school, growing up Catholic, I was very in tune with angels and spirit. And we also lived down the street from a cemetery. So there was spirit all around me. We lived in a big house, and we lived across the street from the fire department. So they were always bringing people back with them that were in spirit. I thought this was just normal. And then when I was in elementary school, I had my first near-death experience. There were beings talking to me, and they were saying, well, you know that you are like us, correct? And I said, well, I feel what you're saying, but I don't know what you mean. And they were saying, well, you are an angel. You are not a kid. And I said, well, I don't understand. I like to play school. I was explaining to them, well, I get to still play school, because my favorite thing to do was, play house, play school, line the dolls up, things like that. And they said, oh, yes, there's going to be more later, but right now, just be a kid. And I went immediately to school as soon as I was healed enough to go to school. And I was telling my teachers and my friends about this. Well, do they tell you this too? And they sent me right to the principal's office for lying. And I was drawing what these beings looked like, and tried to tell my church teachers as well. Said, well, you'll know what they look like. This one says his name is Gabriel, and we just learned about Gabriel. This one says she's Mary. We know Mary. And they said, well, who are you to think that they would talk to you? Well, this one says he's Jesus, and he doesn't look like that Jesus who's bloody, and he certainly doesn't have that color skin. Well, that can't be right. And then I would sometimes say, well, that's not the way that I saw the story happen. Oh, well, that was not okay. And my body would sometimes not feel right in my body. I would see my body one way that was luminous, I didn't have that word then, but it would feel like it would feel, well, glowy. It would feel glowy. And then I would look at myself in the mirror and it felt to me one-dimensional, like a drawing in the mirror, but it's not what it looked like and felt like in my mind. And I did not have wings in my mind, but I had light behind me. And after the car wreck, I had 3 concussions in my brain, I think is what I was told. But what it did was it allowed my aura or my halo to expand. So it felt like the ceilings were too low. And I had all this information coming through. So that's a long answer for what you asked me, but that's how I knew, I suppose. I knew I was different.
Well, an angel versus a medium, or versus someone who's able to perceive and communicate with spirit, are they one and the same? Are they a different species? You're the first person I've ever heard who's been told she's an angel in a human body. I've never heard that before. So what is there a difference?
I think so. I mean, they told me where I was from. They told me I was of the Seraphim, that they said that I chose to come to this earth, and that I chose to have an earth family, but that I had bones and blood and cells, but my innermost being was like them, that I think like an angel, that I was going to be naughty. I was going to have, an earth life. I was going to have struggles, and I was going to even have years where I would forget that I was an angel. That was the deal. And that my purpose here was to fully ingrain with humankind, and then remember who I am as an angel, because at some point it would be needed for me and for humankind, and that it's no big deal. Don't overthink it. It's no big deal. You're not a savior. You're one of many. There's many of us here. It's not a big deal. But yes, you're part of the angel culture, just like there are ETs here. This is a pretty common thing.
Wow. I was going to ask you, when you said that you were told you were an angel, I was going to say, is it kind of like an ET that
yes,
that is here from a different planet? Like, what is a starseed? What does that mean to you?
A starseed is very much like I am. It's like we're neighbors. So I'm from a dimension is something we have wrong. A dimension is actually a density. So if you can imagine, Julie, Rachel speaking, I mean, human version of me, I feel like when I talk to you, you know all this stuff already. So I feel a little bit silly. Gosh, I love you so much. But I'm just going to pretend like you don't.
There are a lot of people that are listening and watching that don't know this stuff.
Okay.
So that's why I'm asking you these questions.
Yeah. So I want to take, let's, and I'm also, as I speak, I'm also entwining, I have guides too. I have angels. I have personal angels. I have guides. I have ancestors. So I'm also channeling what they're telling me at the same time. I don't know everything, right? So what they're showing me is, if we were to take Rapunzel's hair and we were to cut it off, and all those hair strands, if we were to wind them together, and all of those strands of hair were different colors, and let's look at those like frequency. That's more what a dimension or a density looks like. And the angelic realm is one of those strands. And starseeds, every person, every being who's from a starseed planet is another one of those strands. And so humans look at it like, oh, I'm from this neighborhood. I'm from this neighborhood. A starseed, a Pleiadian, is from over here. An Atlantean is from over here. And they want to block it out because that's what we're told here. But we're all woven together, and even the hair strands, that's breaking it up too much. We're really all one, and there is no true separation. We're one right now together. It really is that easy. And we come here, we're still not separate. We have just chosen, you're where you are right now, and I'm where I am right now, because it allows us to have different experiences, so that when we go to sleep, we can meet up and say, hey, what did you learn today? Great, me too. We're together. And we can upload it back to the central universe, and everything expands. So we have all of these starseeds, aliens, perhaps even as we speak now, where the guides are saying, well, we're even limiting you right now, because let's have a little baby steps, because in human form, we're limited. Let's not blow the brains, okay? Let's just calm down, because we're just prepared for a little bit at a time, because evolution is meant to be slow and gentle. But yes, starseeds we're just talking about, remember the term from the 80s, the melting pot? It's the same. We're all melting together. It's so beautiful, but we never really separated. We never did.
The thought that's coming into my mind too, Rachel, is America, right? We all have origins in other countries, and yet we're all American. We can be German, Irish, a mutt. We can be a combination of a bunch of them, but we're all Americans. And I think that is an easy way to describe it for those of us that are trying to wrap our heads around these advanced spiritual concepts. And we don't have a human frame of reference for most of this stuff. We get little bits and pieces through cultures and religions and folklore and parables and legends and things like that. And then those are just, I think, platforms from which to jump into something more advanced, deeper, to help us expand our understanding of all this woo-woo stuff, is what I call it. It's all spiritual. It's all, it's all woo-woo stuff. Let's go back to angels for a minute. You said you're part of the Seraphim. Catholic schools too. Yeah. Raised Catholic, same thing. We were taught about the Archangels and the Seraphim and the Cherubs and the guardian angels and all of that. Can you explain, based on what you understand that to be, are they different species? Like you got German Shepherds and Labradors and Schnauzers and Chihuahuas. Is it all the angel genre or whatever it is? And then there are different types within that genre. I'd love to hear what you think about that.
So angels are equal. We are all equal. Hierarchy is a human term. We honor each other as equals, and we have our designated positions, designated jobs. So there's no, hey, bub, you're going to get your promotion soon. It is not that way. I have been shown that when we look at archangels, I've even heard myself in sessions say to people, well, your guardian angels, they've been assigned to Archangel Michael, and you can think of him as upper management. And that's probably inaccurate, honestly, but it gives us a good framework for people to think about how it works. But in truth, there's no hierarchy. It's an equal plane, and everyone helps everyone. And we think about, air quotes, the other side, where there is no other side. We're all here. But if we think about how it works in that dimensional space, it's equality. Whether we're talking about angels, starseeds, humans, that structure of greater than, less than is something that we have projected. So what I'm being shown is there are some angels that have access to greater wisdom. That's just the nature of their position, their job. And there are some angels that are more limited to what they have access to, but it's not because they've earned it or anything like that. It's just the nature of the job. So, for example, when I go into the quantum realm and I travel into some of the libraries, like the Akashic libraries or the libraries of healing, I notice that there are angels there that are always there as guides, or it's like librarians, or sometimes I see angels that are there to stand around the healing platforms, and they will hold our hand as we step onto the platform. There are angels that are there to greet us as we first enter the crossing over space, and they almost function like tour guides. There are cherubims. There are even angels that function as part of the lower elements of heaven, because there is no hell. But there are different layers of heaven that serve as therapeutic layers where we go to heal. Does that answer your question?
It does. And I want to expand on that a little bit. Is it your understanding, or have you even asked the question, that when somebody comes in, when an angel is an archangel or a guardian angel or a cherub, are they that for forever, or do they test out different roles? For instance, can an archangel become a cherub and check out that experience, much like what we do in our lifetimes? All of our past lifetimes, I'll see semblances of scripts that will repeat, and we're exploring the same basic script from a different perspective, different lifetime, different language, perhaps different genre, whatever. And I've never thought about this before, but this thought just came into my head. Is a cherub for a while, and then the cherub decides, I want to see what it's like to be an archangel, and then they're an archangel for a while? Or are they just whatever their role is till the end of time, yet for forever?
Yeah, I channel that for you.
I would love that.
So I'm going to ask one of the angels that is a wisdom keeper, and I'm just going to speak out loud what I'm seeing. Normally, I would go into just a quiet frame of mind, but for the sake of our conversation, I'm going to say everything out loud. So what I'm letting my body do is I'm just letting my physical body do what it needs to do, as if I'm giving it a babysitter. I'm letting it. I'm not managing it. Sometimes my breathing goes slower or it speeds up, and that seems to be a response to what part of the realm I'm going into, because I'm working with frequency right now. And I notice that my physical body doesn't always know what to do with that. I'm tasting black licorice, not my favorite. And I smell cinnamon. Black licorice seems to be associated with the wise men, the wisdom keepers. Okay, the wisdom keepers. Julie, we are so we're grateful for your work, and we're grateful for your question. We wonder, do you care for black licorice?
No.
Okay, then we'll keep it for ourselves because we really like it, but we will be bringing you another gift, and for Chris as well. Chris, do you care for black licorice?
Yes, I do.
It must be for you.
Oh, Chris is my producer, you guys that are watching. You're wondering, who's Chris? Chris is the man behind the mirror. He's my producer.
And then, Julie, are you the one that loves cinnamon?
I like cinnamon, yeah.
Okay, the cinnamon is for you. They wish to say that the angels they don't have the responsive ego. in the realm. And so it is not a push to be promoted. It is a lateral movement. And so they will often map out their learning path because they will respond to what is needed in the universe. And so I'm being shown a beautiful map of the universe, and this map is in movement. It is full of, it has several universe altogether and planets that are moving, and it's full of music and symbols, and I can feel the essence of time into one. And the angels are being brought into meetings about what is happening, will happen all at once. And they have a chance to say, I am interested in this and I would be willing to help. And as part of these conversations, they can move from Seraphim to Cherubim to guide. And even as Rachel has moved from Seraphim to physical body, yes, this movement is possible. And if we may step into the concept of time, this job would create the essence of training. So if an angel moved into a physical being, there would be great preparation that would go into this. If it was angel job into angel job, it would be a swift transition. Some lateral movements would need great preparation. Angel into human, that is not such an easy shift. Angel into blade of grass, not as an easy shift. Starseed into angel, quite easy. It depends on what shift we are expressing to you. But it does happen, but we wish to say it is not a promotion, but it is a lateral movement. And it is done for the greater good of all, but not for the egoic development or a promotion, as you would say in the earth realm. We also wish to say that something that does not happen is humans do not go from human to angel. That is not something that we have seen except for our friend Metatron. Metatron is the only one that has done that. And that, we're laughing, that was an experiment. Wasn't it, Metatron? That was an experiment. Yes, indeed. And our answer is complete.
Wow, my heart is racing. So I can feel your vibration when the angels were channeling through you. And I vibrate at a high level most of the time anyways, but my heart was just going boom, 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 when you were channeling that, girl. Holy mackerel. Wow, that was fabulous. Thank you. It's interesting with the taste of the black licorice and the cinnamon. What's that all about? You said that happens a lot to you. Why? What does that represent?
Sometimes angels smell a certain way or taste a certain way, but it was just their way of presenting themselves, and they wanted to give you and Chris just some love, just a gift.
Oh, what made me think of, or what that made me think of was the wise men.
Yeah.
The frankincense and myrrh and
yes,
yeah, gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Yes.
The wise men were actually angels?
Yes, or maybe starseeds.
Really? Say more about that.
Oh, well, in truth, Jesus was being born. There was great help from above. The star above was a craft. It was hovering for about 2 months. Was not a star. So I'm told.
Interesting. I've heard, and actually wrote a blog on this, I think last December, maybe around Christmas time, that there are scientists that believe that the Star of Bethlehem was a comet. And they've been able to, and perhaps the comets are, I don't know, ET vehicles or or something like that, but it was a comet, and they could go back in historic documents and chart the path of these comets that would appear at different times, and they're talked about in the Bible. And today, when we're recording, is April 8th, which is the solar eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had many conversations with people about, oh, what do you think is going to happen? And, all these bad things are going to happen and all that. I'm like, no, they're not. People have always been afraid of what they don't understand. And in the ancient cultures, when the sky would go dark all of a sudden and the sun or the moon would be eclipsed, they, of course, went to fear because we're all hardwired for fear.
Right.
So perhaps there's something more to the equation with the Star of Bethlehem and other comets and astronomical phenomena.
Mm-hmm. We've always been watched and guided by beautiful, great forces that have that have us held in love always. Always. And then, yes, of course, there's fear behind it, but I've never been shown that the world is ending.
I'm the same way. I just see that we continue to expand, and our vibration level as a planet continues to raise, and it allows us higher frequencies, and we're able to access higher frequencies as well.
Yes. And the work that we get to do, and something that I find so much joy in my life, is helping people build those processes to tap into the frequencies. The Wi-Fi of the universe is what I like to call it, because we can do that. And we've been locked into the hard work, the doing, that we've simply lost the process of how to tap into that frequency. And it's, at one point, it must have been so easy that we didn't have to tap into it. It was just as easy as our hair growing. It was just a part of us. But then I think the fear got in the way, or we were trained to survive, to struggle, to watch our backs so much, that now we get to build in that process to tap into the universal Wi-Fi. And now we get to do it. And I think that's the big thing happening after the eclipse today, is that we're opening up. We're in a portal right now, which is lovely. And something is shifting that's so beautiful that will, for those that are ready, everyone will be ready in their own time. No one will be left behind. That's another bullshit, pardon my language, bullshit message, that people will be left behind. Not true. Never will be true. And as people find themselves ready, there will be these subtle little shifts. How do you tap into the frequency? And we've been training each other through singing, through dancing, and everything changes from here, but it's not a jolt. It's gentle. I'm very excited about it.
I don't know that I've heard that concept before, that our shifts are gentle, but it makes total sense to me, because it's been my experience, Rachel, that we all have the ability to communicate with spirit, and we're all doing it all day long. Whether we perceive it or not, we get guidance from spirit all day, every day. And when someone is led to explore it further, they'll watch a video or they'll listen to a show like this with us talking about this stuff. And then they're led to watch something else or talk to somebody about this. And then it's step after step after step. It's not, boom, you're one way, and then the next hour you're something totally different. It's a learning process. It's a being led process. Let's go back to something that you said at the beginning when we first started this conversation. You said that when you incarnated, you forgot that you were an angel and you forgot why you were here. Do you believe that happens to all of us? And why do you think it happens?
I do believe it happens to all of us. The exception may be our friends who are schizophrenic. I do believe there are people here that remember everything. and our world may not be equipped to help them appropriately, or they may be feeling so much they suffer. So I'll say that. But I do believe that most of us forget why we're here, and we have decided to do that because the journey to remember who we are and why we're here helps us remember our divinity. And those of us who do not remember why we're here, that's also a choice, because the people in my life who do not remember their divinity cannot honor mine, and they make my life very hard. So that is like giving me a dark room so my light can really shine. And then the people who do remember their divinity, they really help my light shine. Okay? So everyone has their purpose. Those people who can come into this world and they forget who they are, remember who they are, they click into their purpose, whatever that is, and they start to create their life. They remember that they are God inside, however they define God. And from what Spirit tells me, that's our shared purpose. We are here to remember. And those who decide pre-birth, this isn't the lifetime where I'm going to remember, there is a purpose in that. It's very sacred. If they choose to incarnate in a parallel life or in another lifetime, they will likely remember in that lifetime, but there is a sacred purpose either way, remembering or not remembering. And then there are those lifetimes for the people who remember right away, and they are our schizophrenic friends who remember everything all at once.
Interesting.
Wow.
Schizophrenics are fascinating to me because when they're in their different personalities, their blood work can change, their heart, all their medical stuff. I mean, you take blood from somebody on Monday who's Stephanie, and you take blood from somebody on Wednesday who's Helen, and their blood work's different, and their blood pressure and their ailments, and that to me just blows my mind. And at the same time, when you and I are communicating with Spirit, it's interesting to see what our brains are doing. What I mentioned earlier when you were channeling the angels, how my heart rate was just going nuts. Not to the point where it was uncomfortable, but it was very noticeable. And so I never thought about it before, but that's the same thing that you're talking about. I'm thinking with schizophrenics. Is that what you take out of that as well?
Yes, very much so. Well said.
Huh. Goodness. See, that's why I love having these conversations, because we all learn and we all expand together with what we understand. Back to you as a child. First of all, do you have a favorite occurrence that happened as a child communicating with Spirit? And secondly, how you told us what happened to the teachers and how you got sent to the principal's office. What happened with the family when you told your family this? Were there other people that could communicate with Spirit, or did they just think, oh, she's an interesting child?
I was not raised in a very spiritual family. We went to Mass. That felt like it was obligation. My parents were very devoted Catholics, but they may hear this, and I don't want to hurt their feelings because their religion is very special to them now. And I did end up going to seminary and becoming a minister for many years. So it obviously meant something to me. And I'm not a practicing minister now, except when I marry people. And I was a minister in a spiritual church for a few years as well. But as a child, going to Mass every Sunday and every Wednesday, I found God daydreaming. during Mass. And I would look up toward the ceiling and I would see the angels dancing. That's how I found God. And light coming through the stained glass windows and watching the angels bend the light and watching the light kind of come down on the bald heads in front of me. And the music. So that was my religion growing up. That was my spirituality.
Let me interject something here about that, because you bring up a really good point. And that's how it was originally designed, was to help us get more familiar with and in touch with God, Spirit, all those angels and saints and all of them through the stained glass windows.
Yes.
It was pleasing visually to the incense. It was olfactory to the music, the Gregorian chants and the other music in the solfeggio frequencies.
Yes.
It raised our vibration. And so as a child, you were experiencing what it was all intended to do.
Yes. And I didn't even know it. Well, and even in the cathedrals, the shape, the structures in the stained glass are supposed to match the frequencies coming from the organ. Well, really, all we have to do is show up. And you're right. I was really clicking into that. I loved going to Mass. It was my safe place. I loved it. I am not a recovering Catholic. I loved it, but I don't know what the heck I learned. I don't remember any of it, but I loved it. I got to be honest with you. I didn't tell my parents because I knew they wouldn't. I knew it would scare them. And I didn't have a relationship with them that was safe enough to tell them, because we had that car wreck and my mother was very sick. And I knew at that point that I didn't want to give another burden to my family. So I didn't tell them. I didn't tell my parents I was a psychic until I had grown children. And I am not a secret keeper. I'm not a liar. And that was very, very hard on me. When I did come out to my parents, my mother knew. It took my dad a while because I think he was hurt that he felt he knew everything about me, but something major. It took him a while, but now they are my greatest supports. And that is just the most wonderful thing in my life. They are wonderful people. The story that pops out in my mind as a child is probably the monster that was in my closet growing up. It was a really kind of gross, scary movie kind of monster that was in my closet. And I didn't have anyone to tell because when I tried to tell my teachers, it was kind of, you have a big imagination, and they might have even told my mother kind of thing. And I confronted it. I went in my closet and I said, "You stink. Go away." And it started to cry. And I realized in that moment that it was a child, it was a kid. I realized it was a kid that was lost. And I didn't understand anything at that time about other dimensions or anything like that. But there was a movie out, I think it was like Gremlins or some movie like that. And in that movie, the boy had purchased them from another place, and I realized something clicked, like, oh, this is from somewhere else. And I realized I was seeing something from another land, and it clicked that it was lost. And so I prayed, and I said, "Would you please take this little thing home to its mom?" And it disappeared just like that and never came back. And that has changed my life, because now every time I see something that scares me initially, or it's ooey gooey and scary, even if it is a perceived demon, I will look at it and I'll say, "Take that costume off." Or I'll say, "Are you lost? Do you need to go home? Do you miss your family?" And 9 times out of 10, that's what's going on. And I think all these people who are doing these exorcisms and things like that, I think they don't realize that there are many ways to get into this dimension. And if you're lost and you've been here for X amount of time and you can't get back to your family and you're hungry and this isn't the place where you get normal food that you eat, you just want to go home. So that's what I learned, is that we act out when we're scared and we're hungry and tired. And I learned when I was a little kid, don't judge just because something looks different, send it home. So the angel that helped me, I met Metatron that day. I didn't know that's who it was, but I kept seeing this angel, kind of looked like a Power Ranger, and it was Metatron.
Oh, what's that mean? What's that mean? It looks like a Power Ranger. You can't say that without explaining.
Metatron came in and he looked like he was wearing a costume. It's like, I'll help you. And then I kept seeing like he was wearing red and blue and he had like a badge and he says, I'm here with God. And he's like, I went like this and Metatron's like, I can do this. Like just making me feel like I was a cool kid, like you have a superhero on your side. And now I work with Metatron all the time. Helps me like send things.
So but that's a great example, Rachel, of spirit's going to show up, whether it be an angel or a deceased loved one or Elvis, whoever. They're going to show up in a way that's going to allow us to perceive them from our human frame of reference.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that makes total sense to me that he showed up as a superhero to you because
I was like 5.
Yes.
And I was into that stuff, right?
Right.
So that's my most meaningful story as a child, because that's something that's going on. And it helped my whole life from that time until now, because I do a lot of exorcisms. I help a lot of people get stuff out of their body or their homes. And I'm telling you, nothing scares me, because as a little kid, I confronted that thing, probably wet my pants, to be honest. But getting through that, that's what I was meant to do, because, there's really nothing to fear in this world. If you can look at it as something that just needs to go home, we're all is hurt, it's hungry. Yeah.
Well, back to we go in our human frame of mind, we go to fear first when we don't understand something. And it's been my experience that all spirits are pure love.
Yes.
And when we don't understand, or we're immediately going to a movie that we've seen or something we've been taught in a religion or a culture that, this is evil and this is the devil and this is all that stuff. It's been my experience that all spirits are pure love. So that's exactly what you're doing.
Even if you are.
Yeah, you're going to a place of love, and that keeps you out of the fight or flight response. And so it allows you to think clearly, because when we're in fight or flight, think about it. The blood drains from our brain, goes to our heart and our extremities so that we can escape whatever the perceived threat is. And as a result of that, then we're thinking in a distorted way that feeds the fight or flight. So, yeah, interesting perspective. I think we're saying the same thing, but I love your take on it, that this is a spirit that needs our help instead of here to do bad things to us. How do you differentiate between your intuition talking to you and your brain talking to you?
I love that question. Well, for me, my brain talking to me has a different feeling to it. When my brain is at work, it is very task-oriented. It can be rather jumbled, and it can get off track quickly. It is Rachel 100%. When it is intuition, it is gentle. It has a different tone or timbre to it. And there is a feeling of openness. So my first response is that it has a different feeling to it. And when I'm channeling, I take a moment to invite spirit in, and there is an invitation for it to be spirit only. So if I were in a session with you, I would say, all right, we're beginning. And now what I'm saying to you is only from spirit. If I jump in, I'll let you know. So there is a declaration of spirit only. When it is my life, I fully blend with spirit. So sometimes I don't know, but I certainly know if I'm all Rachel, because some of my thoughts will be anxiety producing or they will run rampant. So I will call spirit in and I'll say, oh, right, let's blend a little bit more with you, spirit. I'm feeling a little too Rachel right now. That doesn't always feel good. But in a professional capacity, if I'm with someone and I'm giving them guidance, it is all spirit. And I've just built that craft over time because they're not paying to talk to Rachel. Honestly, they're paying to talk to spirit. Now, if you're asking me in general, how can people know if it's them or spirit? My guidance is to invite them to sit with their guides, their angels, their ancestors, and say, I would like to sit with you in meditation and build that meeting with them where they are saying, I want to know what it feels like to sit with you on purpose. I want to bring you into my heart, into the fibers of my being, and I want to know what it feels like to be with you on purpose. And then interview them, ask questions, and don't overthink it, because this is about the feeling. It doesn't have to be about the answers to the questions, but just bring in those beautiful questions so that you know what it feels like to be with your guides. And really create, I like to call them your holy team. Who is on your team? Is there a specific grandmother that you'd like to have on your team? How many angels do you think you have? Is there one on your left, on your right? How do you define God at this point? How close are you to an ascended master? Are you close to Jesus? Are you close to Mother Mary? How about Kuan Yin or the Buddha? And, on the other side, everybody's equal. So if you are really close to Prince, if you like the music of Prince, guess what? He can be your guide. Absolutely. Elvis, absolutely. Maya Angelou, absolutely. Call them in, and in your mind's eye, imagine them sitting around you. And whatever we imagine in the physical world is absolutely happening in the spirit world. We underestimate that. But when you light a candle here, that light is enormous in the spirit world. What we do here is true in the spirit world. So if you imagine your guides sitting here with you in your mind, it's absolutely happening in the spirit world. So take some time on purpose to create that meeting with them. And if sitting still is hard for you, well, maybe you want to color or get some clay, work clay in your hands. Maybe you want to do some knitting. Do something light with your hands. It shouldn't feel like a punishment. It should feel delightful. Maybe you want to do this while you eat your breakfast. And we're not saying that you have to be Buddha on the mountain for 2 hours. This could be 20 minutes. But practice it. Help it be delightful for yourself. And then you may know when your thoughts come in, because your thoughts will feel different. Your thoughts will feel like you. You're used to you. But I feel that might be some good guidance. What would you add to that, Julie?
I agree. Well, it's been my experience, and what I teach is it's that first thought that comes in your head when you're talking to spirit. Don't, to your point, don't overanalyze it. Just boom. And sometimes the thoughts can come in before your thought out has even finished being thought, because time doesn't exist in the spirit world. So we're talking with a deceased loved one and you're getting an answer halfway through your thought being thought. And yeah, that's from your loved one. It's that first thing. Boom, 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 boom. Fast. The more you do it, the more validation you get, the more easy it becomes. And then it's just effortless from there. Got a couple more questions for you as we're wrapping up here. First one is for parents who have a child that is talking about being able to see spirits, knows past life information, that kind of thing. What can parents do to validate that for the child, even if they can't perceive what the child is perceiving? And how do they encourage the child and give the child a safe space to further develop those abilities?
Okay, so our children are coming in different. They are clearly our teachers and our leaders, and that is true now more than ever. So as your child offers information about what he or she is seeing, experiencing, the response can be, wow, tell me more. And asking open-ended questions so you can help your child explain to the best of their ability what is coming through. And even pulling out crayons, colored pencils that have varied shades. So not just the primary colors, but lots of colors, and saying, could you help me understand by drawing that? And try to get some colored pencils or crayons that are really sharp so as much detail can come through as possible. And if you've got a little one who is working on those fine motor skills, it's okay to draw and say, is this what you're thinking? You can lead a little bit, but don't lead so much that you're putting words or pictures into their mouth or mind. Then there's also an idea coming to me from the guides that we want to validate without escalating. So the idea of, that's really interesting, tell me more, that's really the way that you want to present yourself. Also, I'm being led to share that if this is a problem at night of fear, you can help bring safety or a feeling of safety into their bedroom by creating something that is a clearing spray, so that you can empower your child to feel like they're in charge of their space. And so a few drops of essential oil, that could be peppermint or sage or something, and just say, well, at any time you can clear your space. And this is what this spray does. It actually does work. And also this empowers your child. You can also say that you can sleep in our room. If you have your child sleep with you in your room, I promise that you're not creating a child that's going to live in your basement forever. You're not going to have a teenager that sleeps in your bed. That's okay. You likely have a child that is psychically gifted, and what you're doing here is you are building safe communication, so your child will be the one who tells you things, whether it's about psychic things that they're seeing, or anything else that's important that they want to share with you in their life. So open communication is key here. You also might want to start by asking them, changing the subject for a while and asking them about something else. Hey, first, are you hungry? Can I get you a glass of water? Start softly, okay? And then something else they're bringing to my attention is keeping the frequency up in the house. And by frequency, I mean spirit, like the angels, the ancestors, they thrive on frequency that is of the love frequency. So you might play some music that is Vivaldi's Four Seasons, or music that just makes the family want to dance around. So if your child is having some issues sleeping at night or is feeling like a dark presence around, you might want to get that music going during the day or close to bedtime that feels delightful and helps the love frequency move into the house. Julie, anything to add to that?
Wonderful suggestions. Well, my Angel Messages series of children's books, there's 4 of them, and they were written, and they're children's picture books, and they were written in response to many clients, mothers and grandmothers in particular, that said, how do I explain to my child that, yes, he really is talking to my deceased dad that he never met because he's got this information. There's no way he could know. And how do I explain to my child that, yes, he really is accessing past lives because we can corroborate the information that he talks about with historic documents online. And then when a loved one passes, how do we explain that to our children that grandma's in heaven now? And little Johnny, who's 3, is saying, no, she's not. She's asleep in that box in the front of the room. And how do we explain all of that? And that's what spurred my children's book series. So I think those are all terrific suggestions that you had too. Last question for you. Why do we incarnate?
We incarnate because we are perpetually growing and we are perpetually expanding our capacity to love. And right now, as you and I speak, we are already alive in parallel versions of us. So we have both past lifetimes in other costumes, other bodies, and that learning, if we think in a concept of time, is already done. That is logged in our data in the Akashic Records. And we also have versions of us that look like Julie and Rachel. And those lifetimes are concurrently happening. We decide that we can have as many lifetimes as we want now, in the future. And it is because we are learners. This earth is our classroom. We get to come here because our souls are made of God, source, love. And there are many other places we can incarnate in truth. This isn't the only place. Those other places, that's where we learn the easy stuff, the love. When we want to be in balance and learn the things that are, I'll just say the more difficult things, hunger, loss, etc., trauma, that's where Earth comes in. This is our classroom to learn those lower vibrational things that keep us in balance. And so, welcome to the Earth classroom. You are very brave to be here. And when you incarnate here, you are able to pack in more than one lifetime into one. So when you look around, we've all signed up to be or to support each other and to pack in a lot of learning. And as we do this, we learn ourselves and contribute to the universe, and we're constantly uploading that learning into the Akashic Records. And that is why we continue to come back, because every day, every moment, we are evolving, and it is hard work, and we are loyal to each other. So I guess we could say, see you next time, if we want. And we always get to choose if we're coming back. No one makes us come back.
Great answer. Well, what a fascinating, far-ranging conversation. My goodness, we covered NDEs, children that have abilities. I mean, angels, starseeds, goodness, on and on and on. And I could talk to you for another several hours, so we'll have to have you back. But thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for making the time to join us today.
My pleasure.
Everybody, that's it for this week. Sending you lots of love from Sweet Home, Alabama, mwah, and from Iowa too, where Rachel is. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to follow Julie on Instagram and YouTube at Ask Julie Ryan, and like her on Facebook at Ask Julie Ryan. To schedule an appointment or submit a question, please visit AskJulieRyan.com.
This show is for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be medical, psychological, financial, or